The other description?
Yeah, she's much like 5'7".
She's got a bony ass. And fat thighs. And bad skin.
Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood is a super long titled action role-playing game developed by Cyanide and published by Knock-On and Big Ben Interactive. Or Big Ben? Or Biggin. Big Ben? One of the two. The game is set in the world of darkness, where supernatural beings such as vampires and werewolves and other things struggle with power. This game primarily focuses on werewolves, and you follow Kahal, one of these werewolves, who left his tribe, the Fianna tribe, I believe, after accidentally killing another tribe member. But he then returns to protect the tribe after discovering a new threat. He partakes in the Great War of Garu to fight the powerful Pentex Corporation, which causes pollution and environmental problems, and knowingly serves the worm to tap into this power. Another threat is Enron, who's one of like their oil producing subsidiary things. There is a simpler story told in the game, but without spoiling, this is kind of like the base story, and it is really confusing. You know, it's almost like this is an environmental game, but also it's about werewolves, and I don't know if it really meshes, but we'll get into that in a second. To be blunt, what this game was a mediocre action game with very unimaginative RPG elements with a mediocre cliche story that goes with it. The thing that will stand out right away the moment you get into the in-game content of the game is just how dated the graphics are. To be fair, this shouldn't come as a shock, as Cyanide Studios also made Call of Cthulhu, which was also a game with bad animations, but in comparison, there's a chance that Werewolf may be a step backwards in that department for them. That being said, graphics aren't everything, and unfortunately there is more to this game's faults than graphics. Earthblood also has terrible voice acting, characters you couldn't come close to caring about, a main character who you couldn't relate with or who you would even root for in the first place, subpar animations, and a story that seems too cliche for its own good. You combine all of this, and it's just a recipe for disaster for any game. The RPG elements just seem to be there to be there. It doesn't matter what you say in these elements. There was one time where I answered every question wrong, and they still allowed me to continue on with the story by saying, "Oh, I see you are a good soldier. Proceed."
The company has an internal motto for those in the know. Can you tell me what it is?
Sounds good.
Greener today for a brighter tomorrow.
Look around, you dumbass. Do you think Endron gives a shit about going green? That's just the swill we serve the masses. Okay, enough of this paper-pushing bullshit. I know a combat vet when I see one. Welcome to Endron's training program.
Oh.
Head over to the waiting room. Someone will come get you new recruits in a few minutes.
Understood.
Thanks for admitting me anyway, even though I got all your questions wrong. And this just isn't how you should do your RPG elements. Choices should matter. There should be consequences, even if small, for being wrong in these sections. You shouldn't just let us continue. There should be consequences, or what is the point of there being RPG elements? It's pointless at that point. They could have done a way better job with this. It was just shoehorned in to just say it was to just have RPG elements in it, and that's not right. Also, I don't think the story ever figured out what it wanted to be, and by the time it did figure it out, it unfortunately settled on a cliche story that was done in just a mediocre way. The game does have some moments of good, though, with there being some decent boss fights sprinkled throughout. And this keeps the game from completely falling off the wagon, but it definitely fails in a lot of elements considering the potential that a werewolf game has in general. The gameplay of the game is half hack and slash, half stealth game, or full hack and slash depending on what you prefer, which I think a lot of people would rather just hit people as a werewolf, because the stealth elements as somebody who just played Hitman, more to be desired, a little easier, but in some places you can't even stealth everyone, so you might as well just hit them in the face. But you can try to sneak through some areas. Some areas you can stealth take down everyone, and you can avoid that area. But if you are seen, then that's when the whole hack and slash elements begin. A lot of this game is just horde missions, which scared me, and it should scare me. It just makes most of the game unimaginative as they find different ways to make bigger hordes as the game goes out of the way to stack the odds against you. This gave me a big Avengers feel when you were fighting the same enemies over and over and over and over and over and over again with slight variations, which started to make the game a little boring. In the werewolf form, you had two stances. The more nimble stance that allows you to run around and strike faster, and the heavy stance, which makes your character slower. You're standing straight up, but you do hit harder. And you have to find a right balance, as enemies will stand from distance and annoyingly shoot you with silver bullets. Both stances give you different abilities for special moves that you unlocked in the skills tab that we'll talk about later, that can greatly help you in combat. Especially the heal, as there is no block button in the game at all, and this game, it needed it. It needed the block button. You can glide from side to side, but you cannot block at all. So you're just spending most of the game taking unneeded damage just because the developers were too lazy to put a block mechanic in the game, which I feel like in a game with hordes would be important. I do know there's a lot of games, like hack and slash games, that don't have a block button, and I know that, but I feel like in this game, with the kind of enemies you face in some situations, they really could have used a block button. Some sort of parry, at least. At least a way to push enemies back. Like if you had a movie where the werewolf screamed and it pushed enemies back, that would have been great. But like I stated before, the bosses were alright, and that held the game up slightly, but in general, this game just had so much more to be desired in every department, and that includes the gameplay. It may be fun for some people to watch someone play on Twitch or YouTube or something like that, but when you're playing it yourself, it just grinds on you over time just how basic this game is. That guy's still running in place. This is a visual. I have time to open my water. As you can tell, Lavinator, I'm clearly using the Force. Werewolf. Game good. Game good. You know what? We should put on a song for him. In terms of collectibles, simply, it's just letters that you read throughout the map that try to add something to the characters that no one cares about at all. It doesn't really make you care anymore about the characters. And then also throughout the level, there will be objects that are shining. For a while, I wondered what these were because I forgot that I had my blood vision. But once you use that blood vision, it is, or whatever it is, you can kind of suck the essence out of these objects, and that can help you level up the meter that gets you more skill points over time. These skill points are used to level up your character through tactical elements such as electric bolts, which are bolts that destroy security cameras, and combat upgrades such as Spirit of the Fray, which allows you to dash attack while in midair, and Rush, that allows you to rush forward and slash everything in your path. And that's basically all the upgrades in the game, all the things, all the special things in the game. Like I said, everything in this game was very basic to mediocre, including this. In terms of your final score, I went into this review, I think, leading up to it the day of, thinking that I was going to give the game a 5. But as I was thinking about it, as I was thinking about what I was going to say in this review, there was a lot of things in this game that really grinded my gears. The way the horde missions, which I'm never a huge fan of, even your great hack and slashes have more to do than just horde missions, and there's great stuff around it. Whether it's level ups, whether it's an amazing story that holds up the horde hack and slash of it. They have those elements to it, and this game did not have that. This game was all over the place. This game was basic to the core, if not lesser so, in a lot of elements such as graphics, voice acting, characterization. Just not good, in my opinion, and that is why I am going to give this game a 4 out of 10. There could have been potential here. I think there's not as much potential in this game as there is the actual concept of a werewolf type game. I think there's something that you can do with that. Beyond that, the story is just real. It's not that long. It's about a 10-hour story, which you can get away with that if the game was good, but it really wasn't. Your ability to run around as a wolf, that is something that I did enjoy because it makes stealth a little faster. But in the end, I think this idea can be done by somebody else much, much better. I don't know if this particular studio has what it takes to bring this idea to light and make it what it could be. I feel like you would have to have a bigger studio with a bigger budget make this. And that's not saying somebody with a smaller budget couldn't make a game like this, but maybe you would have to give it to somebody who actually knows what to do with a smaller budget, because this studio just seems to prove that they can't really do much with the budget they have, and it kind of makes a lot of their games fall flat. But beyond that, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the content we've been putting out, playthroughs, reviews, we just put out our top 10 and bottom 10 games list. Those are on the channel. But beyond that, please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, whatever you want to do, or don't do any of that. I just appreciate you watching. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.